From the thrill of speed to the challenge of adapting to change, this is the story of the 5 new F1 rules for the 2023 season that won't make everyone happy. They're not just small tweaks, these are major changes that are gonna impact the way the sport is played. Are you ready? Let's do this! 1. Ride height and diffusers adjusted. Alright, gearheads and racing enthusiasts, let's get into it. This year's motorsports season is shaping up to be one of the most exciting yet, and it's all because of some major changes to the cars that are gonna take things to the next level. Now, for those of you who are new to the sport, or maybe just a little bit rusty on the tech side of things, let me break it down for you. See, last year some of the teams were having a tough time with the new spec cars that were equipped with these fancy pants ground effect aerodynamics. And to put it simply, these cars were porpoising, bouncing up and down, and it was a real problem on the track. But the powers that be didn't just sit back and watch it happen, oh no. Halfway through the 2022 season, they brought in some changes to fix the problems, and now, for the 2023 season, they're taking things even further. They're adjusting the ride height and diffusers, which are basically the parts of the car that control how close it is to the ground and how much airflow it gets. And let me tell you, these changes are gonna have a huge impact on the way the cars perform on the track. Some teams are gonna have to make big changes to their cars to stay competitive, and some drivers are gonna have to change the way they drive to adapt to the new rules. So, what do you think, folks? Are you excited to see how these changes are gonna play out? I sure am. I can't wait to see who comes out on top, who rises to the challenge, and who falls behind. This is gonna be a season to remember. That's for sure. And for those of you who are already big fans of the sport, you know what I'm talking about. You're already counting down the days until the first race, right? I mean, the sound of those engines revving up, the smell of burning rubber, the excitement of watching those cars blast down the track at top speeds. It's all part of what makes this sport so darn addictive. So don't just sit there, let's hear it. What do you think of the changes to ride height and diffusers? Who do you think is gonna come out on top this year? Let's get a discussion going on in the comment section below. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. 2. Stronger roll hoops after Zhou crash. Remember that crazy crash at the start of the 2022 British Grand Prix? Yeah, that was Zhou Guanyu, and it was a real eye-opener for the F1 community. The impact of the crash was so intense that it prompted the F1 officials to make some serious changes to ensure the safety of the drivers. They did not mess around this time. The 2023 technical regulations now require roll hoops with rounded tops, which will reduce the chance of them digging into the ground during an accident. This will make a huge difference in keeping the drivers safe, as the roll hoops are designed to protect the driver's head in the event of a crash. Not only that, but the F1 officials have also set a minimum height for the point of application of the homologation test. This means that the roll hoops will be tested more rigorously than before to make sure they're strong enough to withstand even the most intense crashes. And that's not all, folks. There's a brand new physical homologation test where the load pushes to the roll hoop in a forward direction. This means that the roll hoops will be tested in a real-life scenario, simulating what would happen in the event of a crash. This is a huge step up from the previous tests, and it's all in the name of safety. So the next time you see an F1 race, know that the drivers are in good hands with these new changes. The F1 officials have made it their top priority to keep the drivers safe, and these new regulations show just how serious they are about it. Safety first. 3. A reduction in the minimum car weight. It's time for some exciting news from the FIA. They just announced that they're cutting the minimum car weight by a whopping 2 kilos. That's a lot of weight to shave off, and it's gonna put the designers to the test. Remember the last season when everyone was trying to get a close to 798 kilograms without fuel? Well, buckle up because this year it's gonna be 796 kilograms. That's right, the designers are gonna have to work their magic and come up with some seriously creative designs to meet this new weight limit. Can you imagine the pressure on these guys? they've got to come up with some seriously sick designs that are also super lightweight. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes, but I sure am excited to see what they come up with. So, what do you think, guys? Are you ready for some seriously innovative designs? Are you pumped to see what the designers come up with? Let me know in the comments below. 4. Revised mirrors to improve the driver visibility. Driving a car at breakneck speeds and not being able to see what's behind you. That's like trying to navigate a maze with a blindfold on. But now, the F1 gods have heard our prayers. They've gone and made the reflective surface on the rear view mirrors 50mm wider. It's going from a measly 150mm to a more spacious 200mm. And can you believe it? This change was actually tested by the top dogs in the game, Red Bull and Mercedes, and now it's written into the regulations for all teams to follow. So no more peeking out of the side of the car to see what's going on. Drivers can now keep their eyes glued to the track and trust that they'll have a clear view of what's behind them. This change is gonna make a huge impact. I mean, it's a small change, but it could mean the difference between a win and a loss. Or even worse, a crash. 5. Double the number of sprint events. They're doubling down on the sprint events. That's right, we're getting new 6 venues to get our racing fix: Azerbaijan, Austria, Belgium, Qatar, the US, and Sao Paulo. And for those of you who might not know, sprint events are the shorter races that take place over the weekend. I know what you're thinking. Shorter races? What's the catch? But trust me, the F1 bosses have got you covered. They're making some changes to make sure these events are just as exciting as the Grand Prix. For starters, the accident damage allowance will now be a fixed amount per team for each race weekend. So even if you have a little fender bender on the track, you can be rest assured that your team won't be out of pocket. And to make these events even more enticing, they've doubled the forfeit allowance amount to $300,000. I mean, who wouldn't want to race for that kind of cash? But wait, there's more! They're also reviewing the Parc Fermé rules for sprint weekends to simplify the setup locking process. This means that teams will have an easier time getting their cars race ready, and you won't have to sit through any boring downtime. We've got 5 new F1 rules that are coming to the 2023 season, and I'm here to break them down for you. First of all, you've got a new tire compound that's going to be used in all races. This is a big one because it's going to have a big impact on the race strategies and how teams approach the race. Next up, we've got an increase in the amount of fuel that teams can carry. This is a big deal because it means that a team can push harder and run longer without having to refuel. It's going to lead to some seriously exciting racing. Thirdly, the minimum car weight has been reduced from 798 kilograms to 796 kilograms. That's a small change, but it's going to mean that the designers are going to have to work even harder to make their cars as light as possible. Fourth, the mirrors on the cars are going to be wider. This change is going to make it easier for the drivers to see what's going on behind them. Can you imagine trying to drive a super fast car and not being able to see what's going on around you? It's a scary thought, but thank goodness for this change. And finally, we've got double the number of sprint events. 6 new sprint events have been added to the calendar this year, with races in Azerbaijan, Austria, Belgium, Qatar, the United States, and Sao Paulo. And to top it off, they're making a few changes to the sprint events too. The accident damage allowance will now be a fixed amount per team for each race weekend, and the forfeit allowance amount for each sprint will double to $300,000. So there you have it, the 5 new F1 rules for the 2023 season. I think these changes are going to make for some seriously exciting racing. Hope you learned something new today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Goodbye.